There are moments in life when something inside you quietly breaks and nobody else notices. You show up, you smile, you say, "I'm fine." But deep inside, you're crumbling. And not because you're weak, but because the pain has gone on too long. Because the waiting has grown too loud. Because the silence has started to sound like abandonment. You keep praying, but nothing shifts. You keep hoping, but nothing changes. And then comes the question that haunts so many of us in secret. Where is God? I've been there. Not once, not twice, but too many times to count. I've stood in rooms full of people and still felt invisible. I've lifted my hands in worship while my heart was bleeding. I whispered Jesus, not as a declaration of power, but as a final cry for help. I've sat in my car long after everyone else left the church, unable to move, choking on tears I told no one about. And in those moments, in those silent storms, I questioned everything I believed. Is this real? Or did I just build my hope on illusion? Because how could a loving God allow so much pain? And yet, I stayed. Not because I'm strong. Not because I never doubted. Not because I figured it out. But because every time I reached the edge of quitting, He met me, not with thunder, not with fire, but with a whisper, a peace that didn't match the chaos, a strength I didn't know I had, a hand I couldn't see, but could still feel, a presence that didn't explain the pain, but walked with me through it. And that, right there, that's why I'm still confident in Jesus. Psalm 34 verse 18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." I used to read that like a verse on a greeting card, but now I live it because I've been the brokenhearted. I've been crushed in spirit, and He came close, closer than anyone else could, closer than I deserved, and not once to shame me, but to save me. I don't stay with Jesus because my life has been easy. I stay because in the worst of it, He didn't flinch. When I was full of questions, He didn't walk away. When I was angry, He didn't silence me. When I didn't have faith, He held me anyway. And that's the kind of God I can trust. Not the one who makes life perfect, but the one who is perfect, even when life is not. People talk a lot about strong faith, but can I tell you something real? Faith doesn't always look like power. Sometimes it looks like crawling. Sometimes it looks like praying with no words, just groans. Sometimes it looks like opening your Bible just to cry into the pages. Romans 8 verse 26 says, "The Spirit helps us in our weakness, with groans too deep for words." That means even when I can't find the strength to pray right, heaven still hears me right. Even when all I can whisper is, "Help me, God," that's still enough. That's still sacred. That's still heard. And if this is speaking to you right now, don't scroll. Drop in the comments. So I know you're still holding on, still fighting. You're not alone in this. I don't have confidence in Jesus because I always feel Him. I have confidence in Jesus because He never leaves, even when I don't feel anything. Because His word is still true even when my emotions aren't. Because His love is still deep even when I'm shallow. Because His grace still runs to me, even when I'm running on empty. There were days I begged Him to change the situation, and He didn't. But somehow, He changed me in the situation. There were nights I thought I'd drown in my tears, but I didn't. There were moments I thought, I can't do this anymore, and yet here I am. Not because I'm unbreakable, but because He is. Isaiah 41 verse 10 says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you." It doesn't say I'll always understand. It doesn't say the pain will never come. It says, I will strengthen you. And I can testify, He did in the quiet, in the chaos, in the God, I don't know what I'm doing anymore moments. He came through. And I get it. Maybe you're listening right now and you're not sure anymore. You believed once. You had faith once. But life hit you too hard. Loss came. People left. prayers went unanswered, and now you're stuck between I still love God and I don't know how to trust Him anymore. Can I say something to you with love? You don't have to fake it. You don't have to pretend you're okay. You don't have to perform. Jesus isn't asking for a show. He's asking for honesty. Matthew 11 verse 28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Not come to me after you figured it out. Not come to me when you feel holy. No, just come as you are, with the fear, with the doubt, with the shattered pieces. That's what He wants, not the filtered you, the real you. Because confidence in Jesus isn't built in mountaintop moments. It's built in the valley. It's forged in the fire. It's born when everything else fails. And He doesn't. And I know, sometimes it feels like God is silent. Sometimes it feels like He's a million miles away. But silence isn't absence. Delay isn't denial. Some of the greatest things God ever did in my life, He did slowly, quietly, while I thought He wasn't moving at all. But He was, just not in the way I expected. And sometimes not in the way I wanted, but always in the way I needed. Isaiah 55 verse 8 reminds us, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. And that's hard. It's hard to trust a plan you don't understand. But can I ask you something? What if the delay is protecting you? What if the silence is maturing you? What if the thing that feels like abandonment is actually preparation? God doesn't rush healing. He doesn't microwave maturity. He doesn't force transformation. He unfolds it like a sunrise. And just because you don't see the light yet doesn't mean it's not coming. You might be walking through the darkest chapter of your life right now. But Psalm 23 verse 4 says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. You might be in the valley, but you're not in it alone. He's with you, and not as a distant spectator, as a shepherd, as a father, as a friend. And if you've been wondering how to trust God in hard times, not just with your lips, but with your whole life, this is it. This is what it looks like. It's messy. It's honest. It's showing up every day and saying, God, I don't get it, but I trust you anyway. That's why I'm still confident. Because even when I didn't recognize Him, He stayed. Even when I questioned Him, He stayed. Even when I thought about walking away, He stayed. There's a faithfulness in Jesus that no human can match. And when people fail me, when love failed me, when I failed myself, He didn't. You want to know what real love is? It's not just Jesus dying for you on a cross. It's Him walking with you through depression. It's Him sitting with you in your anxiety. It's Him waiting with you through your addiction. It's Him whispering, you're still mine when you're convinced you've gone too far. That's love. Psalm 73 verse 26 says, my flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. That verse isn't just a comfort. It's a confession. Because yes, I failed, but He never did. 2 Corinthians 4 verses 8 to 9 says, we are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, struck down, but not destroyed. And if you're still here, that means you're still not destroyed. That means His grace is still holding you. That means your story is not over. Maybe today, that's what you need. Not a miracle, not a breakthrough. Just a reminder that you're not crazy for still believing. That your faith isn't broken just because it's bruised. That you can doubt and still be held. That you can question and still be loved. That you can collapse and still be carried. Jesus never asked for perfection. Just surrender. Just trust. Just, God, I don't know how, but I'm still here. And if that's all you have today, that's enough. So lift your head, even if it shakes. Take the next breath, even if it hurts. Whisper His name, even if your voice cracks. Because He hears you, He sees you, and He still has a plan for you. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. That future still exists. That hope is still alive because Jesus is still alive. And that, more than anything, is why I'm still confident. If this message met you where you are, share it. Someone else needs it too. And if you're going through something personal, drop a comment. I'll do my best to help. You're not alone in this. And no matter how deep the pain goes, His love still goes deeper. You see, confidence in Jesus isn't about having a spotless record. It's not about feeling strong every day or walking a perfectly straight line. It's about knowing who catches you when you fall. It's about realizing that even when you can't trust yourself, you can still trust Him. And when I look back at the pain, at the grief, at the delays I didn't understand, I realize now, He was never punishing me. He was preparing me for deeper strength, for softer compassion, for real faith. Because I didn't learn to trust God on the mountaintop. I learned to trust Him in the pit, in the silence, in the tears I cried into my pillow with no one watching. That's where real faith was formed. And maybe that's why you're going through what you're going through right now. Not to destroy you, but to build something in you that cannot be shaken. Because storms don't just test the foundation, they reveal it. And Jesus is the only foundation that will never collapse. Hebrews 12 verse 27 says, "The things that can be shaken will be shaken, so that only what cannot be shaken may remain." And maybe that's what God is doing in your life. Shaking loose what was never supposed to stay. Removing people, plans, and patterns that were standing in the way of your real purpose. I know it hurts, but I also know this. What remains after the shaking is holy. There were seasons I begged God to rebuild things the way they were. I thought restoration meant going back. But God doesn't restore backwards. He restores forward. Better, deeper, stronger. Sometimes what looks like loss is actually rescue. What feels like rejection is actually protection. What feels like a breakdown is really the first step of a breakthrough. So if you feel like things are falling apart, maybe they're actually falling into place. Maybe this wilderness is where you stop leaning on your own strength. Maybe this delay is where your roots go deeper than you ever thought possible. Jeremiah 17 verse 7 to 8 says, "Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green." Did you catch that? It says when heat comes, not if. The fire will come. The drought will come. But when your roots are in God, you won't wither. You'll stand. Not because of the storm, but because of the stream. And right now, maybe you don't feel rooted. Maybe you feel like everything's been stripped away. But let me encourage you. You're not being buried. You're being planted. And there's a difference. When God plants you, it's never to forget you. It's to grow something in you. And what He's growing in this season, nobody can steal. Don't confuse hidden with forgotten. Jesus sees you, even when the prayers feel dry, even when the silence feels suffocating, even when you feel invisible to the world. You are still fully known by God, and He's not pacing heaven, panicked about your situation. He's not confused. He's not late. He's doing something invisible before He does something public, because what He's building in your spirit is too sacred to rush. Romans 5 verse 3 to 5 says, "We also glory in our sufferings, because suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not disappoint." That's not just poetry, that's a roadmap. Suffering, perseverance, character, hope. And I know you didn't sign up for suffering, but you're being shaped by it, grown by it, refined in it. And the hope that comes out of this fire won't disappoint you. I used to think my confidence in Jesus came from answers. Now I know it comes from endurance. It's not built on what He gives. It's built on who He is. He's the kind of God who still shows up even when your faith doesn't. Who still loves you even when you're distant. Who still protects you even when you're confused. That's the kind of God I can trust with my life. And you, yes, you can trust Him too. Not because you see the ending, but because you know his heart. He's never failed. He never will. So hold on, not because it's easy, but because he's worth it. You don't have to see the finish line. Just take the next step. Just whisper his name again. Just breathe and say, God, I'm still yours. Because that is what real faith looks like. Not perfection, not confidence in yourself, but a raw, trembling hand that still reaches for his, even in the dark. Because in the end, I'm not confident in Jesus because I've never been broken. I'm confident in Jesus because I've been broken and he held me through it. Because I've been lost and he still found me. Because I've been done and he still wasn't. And if you're wondering whether God can still use you after all you've lost, let me tell you, yes. Not in spite of your pain, but because of it. Not in spite of your story, but through it. So keep walking, keep trusting, keep whispering Jesus through the tears, because every step forward in pain is still a step of faith, and heaven counts them all. Psalm 56 verse 8 says, You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. That means not one tear you've cried has been wasted. Not one night has been forgotten. Every ache, every scream, every silent question, he heard them all. So don't let go. Not yet. You're closer than you think. You're stronger than you know. You're held even now. And if this message found you, it's not by accident. It's proof that Jesus still knows how to reach you, even in the wilderness. So don't scroll past this. Don't silence the ache. Let it lead you back to him. He's not done with you. He's just getting started. So many times we think confidence in Jesus only comes from mountaintop victories, from big testimonies, from the moments we say, God came through. But some of the most unshakable confidence is born in the chapters no one claps for, the quiet chapters, the ones where you keep praying but nothing changes, the ones where you drag your soul into worship when your heart wants to run, the ones where you open your Bible not for answers, but just for hope. It's in those chapters that you realize this isn't about feelings anymore. It's about trust, real trust. Gritty, tear-soaked, nothing makes sense but I'm still here trust. That's where warriors are forged, not on stages, but on bathroom floors, not in applause, but in agony. That's where Jesus gets close, in the places nobody else sees. And what he builds in you there, no storm can take it, because you didn't come through that heartbreak just to go back to normal. You didn't survive that loss just to play small. You didn't rise out of that depression just to blend in. God is raising something in you, a voice, a fire, a story that will unlock healing for others. Revelation 12 verse 11 says, They overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. Your scars, they speak. Your survival, it matters. Your tears, they carry power. And somebody else is waiting on your freedom to believe there's a still possible. So don't hide your story. Don't cover the parts that broke you, because what the enemy meant for harm, God is going to use for healing. And not just yours, other people's too. That's why you're still here. Not by accident, not by chance, not because life got easier, but because grace got deeper. And maybe you've asked, why didn't God stop the pain? I've asked that too, but maybe, just maybe, he didn't stop it because he knew it wouldn't stop you, because he saw the version of you that would rise out of the fire. He saw the warrior, the worshiper, the leader, the healer, the testimony walking on 2 feet. Isaiah 61 verse 3 says he gives beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, and a garment of praise for a spirit of heaviness. That's not a metaphor. That's a promise. And if you're still holding ashes, hold them up, because he still trades. He still heals. He still turns the worst chapters into wild redemption. And I get it. You don't feel like a warrior. You feel tired, forgotten, ordinary. But so did Moses when he was exiled. So did Joseph in prison. So did David in caves. And still, God was working in the background, in the wilderness, in the silence, preparing them, not punishing them. What if your silence right now is training? What if the things you call delay are actually divine setup? Romans 8 verse 18 says, "The sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us." That means what's coming is better than what's been. That means what you lost wasn't the end. It was just the ground floor of what God is building next. And I know you wanted it to look different. You thought it would come faster. You thought certain people would stay. You thought you'd be further by now. But can I tell you something? What God is building in you is not small. It's not shallow. It's not temporary. It's eternal. It's generational. It's healing others even while you're still healing yourself. Some of the most powerful people in the kingdom of God are the ones who still show up when it hurts. The ones who still believe even when they're bleeding. The ones who keep saying Jesus, not because they're strong, but because they know He is. That's real faith. That's the kind of faith hell can't shake. That's the kind of testimony the world needs. So if you're still standing today, even with a limp, even with some scars, even with unanswered prayers, you're already winning. And Jesus is proud of you, not because you performed, but because you held on. When others quit, you stayed. When others ran, you kept walking. And heaven sees it all. Galatians 6 verse 9 says, "Let's not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." So don't give up. Don't give in. Don't believe the lie that nothing's happening. The seed is still buried, but that doesn't mean it's dead. It's just becoming. You may not see the full picture yet, but God does. He sees the roots growing deeper. He sees the healing happening in places you forgot were wounded. He sees the strength He's shaping, not on the outside, but in your soul. And soon, very soon, others will see it too. So keep praying, keep worshiping, keep whispering His name through clenched teeth if you have to, because the breakthrough you're waiting for, it's already in motion. The healing, it's already begun. The restoration, it's already been written. The question isn't, is God still with me? The truth is, He never left. So let me be honest with you. There was a season where I stopped expecting good things. I didn't say out loud, but my soul started bracing for disappointment. I stopped praying bold prayers. I stopped dreaming big dreams. I didn't stop believing in God, but I did stop believing that He would move for me. I thought, maybe other people get miracles. Maybe other people get restoration. But me, I'll just survive. And I lived like that, half faith, half fear, until one day I broke down. Not the type of breakdown where you scream at the sky, but the quiet kind. The kind where you sit on your bed, exhausted, hands in your lap, and just say, "God, I'm done trying to fix this." That day, something shifted. Not because I got a miracle, but because I finally let go. I finally laid down the pressure to perform. I finally dropped the mask. And in that moment of surrender, I didn't feel lightning or hear angels. I just felt stillness, a peace that wrapped around me like a blanket, like God was saying, now I can carry it. And that's when I realized God doesn't need our strength. He just needs our surrender. Psalm 46 verse 10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." I'd heard that verse 1,000 times, but it never hit me like it did that night. Because I wasn't still out of peace. I was still because I was empty. And even there, He met me. I don't know what you're carrying right now. Maybe it's a marriage that's falling apart. Maybe it's a diagnosis that broke you. Maybe it's the fear that what you lost will never come back. Maybe it's the weight of being strong for everybody else while silently falling apart yourself. But I want you to hear me. You don't have to carry it alone. Jesus didn't say, "Come to me if you got all figured out." He said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11 verse 28. Rest isn't just sleep. Rest is peace in the middle of chaos. Rest is knowing you don't have to have all the answers. Rest is finally exhaling and saying, I trust you even here. You were never created to carry this pain forever. You were made to heal, to rise, to live again, to breathe again. And even if your faith is hanging by a thread, that thread is enough for Jesus to grab hold of. Isaiah 40 verse 31 says, But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. You may not feel like you're soaring right now. You may not feel like you're running. But even if all you're doing is walking, slow, shaky, tearful steps, that still counts. That still matters. Because faith isn't just about flying. Sometimes, faith is just about refusing to stop. So walk, even if you limp. Walk, even if you cry. Walk, even if all you can say is, Jesus, help me. Because when you walk with him, you never walk alone. And here's what I've learned. Confidence in Jesus doesn't mean I always feel strong. It means I've seen him show up too many times not to believe he'll do it again. I've seen him restore what I thought was dead. I've seen him resurrect what I gave up on. I've seen him turn graves into gardens, ashes into beauty, mourning into dancing. And now I carry that confidence like a flame, not a wildfire, just a small, steady light. But it's enough to guide me through the darkness. And maybe, just maybe, it'll guide you too. So if you're listening to this right now and your soul feels tired, I want you to take a deep breath, not just physically, but spiritually. Let yourself exhale, let the weight fall, and let this truth settle in. You are loved. You are not alone. You are still in his hands. You haven't missed your moment. You haven't disqualified yourself. You haven't gone too far. You are still being written into the story of redemption. And the author of your life doesn't make mistakes. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are not broken beyond repair. You are becoming. So keep standing. Keep trusting. Keep whispering his name, even when it hurts. Because your breakthrough is closer than you think. And when it comes, it won't just be for you. It'll be for every person watching your life. Every person who gave up on God, but sees you rise again. Every person who said, if they made it, maybe I can too. That's legacy. That's impact. That's confidence in Jesus. Not just a moment, but for eternity. So right here, right now, if this message found you, it wasn't an accident. God is calling you back to himself. Not to punish you, but to heal you. Not to shame you, but to restore you. And if you're ready, just say this. Jesus, I'm tired. I've tried to carry this on my own, but I can't anymore. I surrender. I give you my pain, my confusion, my questions, my heart. I believe you're still good. And even if I don't feel it yet, I choose to trust you again. And if you prayed that, welcome back. You never left his heart. If this message met you, don't keep it to yourself. There's someone else out there who's holding on by a thread too. Share this with them. Be the hand that reaches back into the dark and pulls someone into the light. And if you're still walking through something, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment. Let me know how to pray with you. Because this isn't just a message. This is a family. This is faith. This is healing together. And no matter how deep the pain goes, his love still goes deeper. This is why I'm still confident in Jesus.